When everyone is going to the left, I go to the right. Always challenge the status quo to bring about change. I've been doing patient advocacy for now 12 years. I'm hearing the same things that I heard about 12 years ago. Every time a confrontation with something that you did not choose to have, are the questions great because I feel that they're great, or actually adding value?
The Clinical Data Lighthouse, partnerships on the road to Vision 2030. Today we are here with Robert Greene, and I want to really thank you for coming, and I'm really looking forward to this podcast because we're here actually all in Society for Clinical Data Management to treat patients. And so there's one thing that you cannot do and do everything for a patient group, patient community without including the voice and the perception of the patient. So I want to thank you very much for coming here because I think it's absolutely essential. Robert Greene, you're a patient partner consultant. You're also part of a patient advocacy group, but anything else you want to add on the role you play?
Well, yes, there's one thing, and that is I define my role as being someone who should always, I often say, when everyone is going to the left, I go to the right, or I see what's on the right. Or if someone says, we always do this way, I always wonder, what if you did it somewhere, in another way? What would be the expected outcomes? So that's what I see as my role within patient advocacy as well, to always question the status quo. And I always say, I'll always challenge the status quo to bring about change.
Yeah, fantastic. And so the why, why are you doing this, and what is the impact for ultimately a trial participant as a patient? Thank you. So what is your experience on feedback that is going wrong with patients when they try to participate in a clinical trial? What is the clinical research experience from a patient that we should all know how we can make life easier to actually participate in clinical trial?
I think I do not have any personal experience with clinical trials, but yes, I do speak to patients, I do read, and the question about what are we doing wrong, I think that what we need to be asking, what can we do differently? Okay. It's not that we're doing something wrong. It's that I think we sometimes get caught up in what we're doing and think that's the only way we should be doing it or can be doing it. I don't expect everyone who's involved in clinical trials to understand the life of a patient, but what I do hope is that we would question who's at the end of this road. And yes, it is a patient. And how can the work that I do impact and have a more positive outcome for the person at the end of this entire process.
Yeah. And that's giving them sometimes choice or like when to go to the hospital, what can we do centrally, decentrally?
Yes, again, it's in my perspective, it's always challenging the status quo. It's having a questionnaire in front of me and probably thinking, wow, these are great questions. But then the question is, are the questions great because I feel that they're great, or actually adding value, and how are they going to impact the outcome? And what is the burden for the person who's reading all these questions? I say all these questions, often I think it's a lot of questions. But again, what's the expected outcome, and what's the value? And if I say it has something has value, is it because it's based on what I think, my perception, or is it actually a balance between what I think, what I know is necessary, and what the patient should probably be requiring?
And they're probably involving patients or patient advocates as early as possible before you start a study. What is the impact? Because that's the outcome. No?
Yes, because we have very optimistic and convinced that we have a lot of experience that we can bring to the table. We do not need to be the scientist or the clinician, etc. We are patients, in the role at least of patients, because sometimes I think we often forget that we patients are also human beings. We have a job, etc. We have our daily experiences. But what comes to the table is that when someone is taking part in the clinical trial, all of that comes together in addition to them being a patient. So we need to try and remember that something simple as a questionnaire, that how much time does it take? And it's not one questionnaire, it's probably multiple questionnaires. How often does someone have to fill in these questionnaires? how confronting is it that rereading questions every time or trying to answer every time questions about your health or your well-being, it's every time a confrontation with something that you did not choose to have.
Yeah. And then after they participate, I'm going to make an assumption, but please correct me, that they want to know what they contributed to. So what is the outcome of the participation on the trial, and what does that do for the patient eventually?
Yes, I totally agree. And I think that there's two aspects to this. And one is that some people get in the clinical trial and already know, I would definitely love to know what the outcomes are. Mm-hmm. And some do not. Mm-hmm. But if you supply feedback to everyone, there is a high probability that it will help. It will help that person, because it will at least give them the feeling, well, I did contribute to something. If there was an excessive burden in participating in the clinical trial, at least they can see the results and say, well, okay, this was worth it.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It's also giving choice. Do you want to actually get more data and involvement? Because some people are there because that's what they want to do. They don't necessarily want a bigger picture. But that's very good feedback.
And not only giving them a choice, but also explaining what the choice is it may entail as well. Because some people might say, well, I don't want to know, but never really thought about it because they never participated in a clinical trial.
And then doing that in layman's terms that they fully understand without too much jargon.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Let me ask maybe a more out of the blue question. Mm-hmm. If you would have a magic wand and you can create something, but you can also remove something, what would that be in clinical research?
What I would create, wow, if I had a magical wand, I would be doing so many stuff. But what I would create is to have, again, everyone involved question the status quo. I really believe that if we are able to question not every minute of the day, but regularly, what am I doing? What is the expected outcome of this? And is it really valuable? And for who is it being valuable? Mm-hmm. So probably not one thing, but a couple of things. Questioning the status quo.
But that's a very powerful message, because we go through a lot of change, but this is exactly what we need to do, and not say we have done this all the time for 10 years. This is how we do it, because question the status quo is very powerful. Anything that you want to take away? Anything that we should be able to simplify? And
yes, I guess so. I've been questioning literally yesterday. I think I've been doing patient advocacy for now 12 years. Mm-hmm. And I got involved in, well, again, I'm not a specialist, but writing articles from a patient perspective about clinical trials. So I was like, what actually has changed in the past 12 years? Mm-hmm. Because I'm talking about the same thing. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing the same things that I heard about 12 years ago when I really started in patient advocacy. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious. And what I would love to take away from today is to hear what has changed. I know we often focus on what we need to be doing differently, but I think sometimes within that, we also need to remind ourselves of what little steps we have made and to bring us where we are right now, to even have a patient present at this event.
Yeah, no, so exactly. That's why I want to thank you for being here, at least to bring the voice of patients in here. We need to do that much more. We need to make sure that the patient is in here, so that the why and how is tailored. And what I hear you say too, yes, it's fine to have a North Star where we want to go, but you have to measure how you're going to get there and what steps are you taking to actually simplify it, make sure that there's more transparency and that we actually think about the patient way before we actually start the trial.
Yes. And there's one more thing I want to add that I decided yesterday. I love giving presentations. I love speaking at events, but I promised myself that with every invitation that comes, I'll be asking, what do you have in place to measure the impact after the sessions?
Yeah, measure what matters. Yes. And the patient is what matters. So thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.